Welcome to Green Ball Extra. Today we've got Irish captain Andrew Balbirnie. Welcome, Andy.
Thanks, Craig. Good to be here.
It's now a few days gone past the South Africa series. What's your overall assessment of let's start with the ODI series, the important 15 points we picked up. What's your assessment of the ODI series against South Africa?
Yeah, I suppose at the start of the week, any points from that series we probably would have taken. We obviously knew that they were a very good team, and we obviously hadn't played too much cricket in the build-up to it. So that first game, I suppose, having been rained off, I thought we were in a pretty good position and we played pretty good cricket. And I think that sort of 30 or 40 overs set the tone for the rest of the week. I think, particularly with the bat, we went out in really tricky conditions against top quality bowling, and kind of faced it full on and got through the tricky periods. And I think it sent a bit of a message to the rest of the group that if we do play good cricket, we can compete with these guys. And then naturally the second game came and we did a similar thing, and we put up a good score and defended it and played a pretty complete performance in one-day cricket. Naturally, it was disappointing not to win a series, but the fight we showed towards the back end of that third game also proved that guys genuinely believed that we could compete with these guys, with a team like South Africa. So I think it was a really positive series. Barring a series win, it couldn't have really gone much better. Guys spent some good time in the middle. Our bowlers were really effective in periods, and yeah, it was a really exciting and a really great series to be part of.
And personally speaking, a century with the bat in the second ODI, it must be a moment of pride to look back on.
Yeah, it was, and I've always said it that when you score hundreds and win, there's no real greater feeling in cricket. It's a bit like a drug; you just want more and more of it, the more you taste of it. So yeah, it was one of those days where it kind of just everything went right, bar the toss. But yeah, it was nice to score 100. My mum and dad and fiance were in the crowd, and her parents. So not having people in the ground for so long and then coming out and producing a result like that was certainly, well, the most special day I think we've had as a team in Dublin. And yeah, it was great to be part of a team and seeing the expressions on the guys' faces in the change room after. We got a bit of it in Southampton last year, and then to see more of it and see, I suppose, more smiles on the faces in the change room is why you play the game.
Yeah, I was talking to Mark Adair not long ago, and he said when he scored his century with the crowd in, all the hair stood up in the back of his neck almost. The feeling that the crowd was there, the energy was there. It must be a good feeling. Yeah,
and it was good all week. We're very lucky that we do have a lot of really passionate Irish cricket supporters, and not having them for a period of time, then coming back and I think there was only 500 people in, but it felt like there was so much more. The buzz you got, particularly that second game when we were taking wickets, it was surreal. And yeah, the hairs in the back of my neck were standing up just in the field, just listening to people cheering. And it's something that we desperately missed. And we're very lucky that we have crowds back in Ireland. We know we're going to be playing over the next 6 months where there might not be crowds. So we've just got to enjoy it whenever we do get the chance to play in front of friends and family and loyal supporters, because that's the reason why you play the game, is to encourage the next generation of cricketers to play cricket. And I think that week in Malahide, I think we certainly did that, and hopefully we can spur on a generation of Irish cricketers.
And what about Andrew Balbirnie, the opener? Were you comfortable in that role?
I wasn't when I first played. I think my first few games were as an opener, and I couldn't get it off the square. But it was just one of these things that happened. Woke up in the morning and had a text from William and Fordy just being like, Purdy's not going to be available today. So my natural reaction was for me to just go up top. And I don't think there's too much difference between number 3 and opening. And it meant a bit of a rejig with Andy McBride going to 3, but I thought he did the role really well. And he's a gutsy cricketer that everyone wants in their team, and he didn't even hesitate. He actually wanted to open himself, but I said just start off at 3 and then we'll see how we go. But it was just one of those things, and it paid off. But I think going forward, 3 is where I've spent most of my time, and once William's fit, I think we'll probably just stick with what we had in that first game.
And of late, Simi has been getting lots of plaudits bowling, but his century at number 8 must have been a great moment to watch.
Yeah, it was. It was actually probably one of my favorite moments of the whole week because we were down and out, and we were kind of. It was really disappointing after the second game that we were, 5 or 6 down for not a lot, and there was a good crowd in. It was a sunny day, and it just felt like we had let a few people down, and then for Simi to produce that, everyone was on their feet, even though we were going to be beaten. Everyone was on their feet, just enjoying the moment for Simi, because he's a guy who's been around the squad for a long time, and he's consistently put in performances with the ball. He's been outstanding with the ball. But we've always known how good he is with the bat. We've seen it at Interpro cricket. So for him to come out and be the first player ever to score 100 at 8 was brilliant, and everyone was just buzzing for him. And hopefully he can take his batting to the next level too.
And finally, about the ODI series, that's a lot about the batters with the bowlers. It's a pretty world-class batting attack they're up against. How do you think the bowlers fared in the 50-over game?
Yeah, it's tough in ODI cricket. Like, the wickets are usually pretty good. There's not a lot of kind of sideways movement, but I thought our bowlers stuck to their tasks really well. We spoke a lot about hitting a length from the off, and I think we did that. And we had Mark, Josh, and Craig, who did a brilliant job all week. But we had someone like Barry McCarthy in the wings who would also say he deserves a place as well. So to have those 4 sort of top quality seam bowlers at our disposal is really good. And Peter Chase, unfortunately, is out injured, but he's another one who we really think highly of. So we're lucky, and we've got a great bowling coach in Stuart Barnes who's working day in, day out with these guys, and they're going from strength to strength, and it's really nice to see how they're progressing. But this summer, particularly going back to the Netherlands series as well, they've stood out, and hopefully they can bring that forward going into the Zimbabwe series.
Actually, one more about the ODIs, of course. Coming back from injury, Curtis Camper hits another 50.
Yeah, it's remarkable. He's one of these cricketers that just goes about his business, and you look up at the scoreboard, he's on 20 or 30 without doing anything. I think he's probably averaging about 50 now out of maybe 7 or 8 games he played for us, and he's a brilliant player to have. He's so cool and calm. He thinks about the game a lot, and he's always talking and always learning. So for him to just slide in and get a 50 as comfortably as he did against his own, the country of his birth, shouldn't be underestimated how big a deal that is for him, his family, for everyone involved with Curtis Camphor. And he's just really impressed us since he played his first game last year in Southampton. He obviously couldn't bowl. He's still kind of on the way back from his ankle injury in terms of bowling. So when he's back bowling, that gives us a different dimension to the squad. But certainly as a batter, he's so valuable to the team and what we're trying to do.
Now onto the T20I series. On paper, it looked the results didn't go the way we wanted, but what can you take from the series?
Yeah, it was disappointing. I won't lie. We obviously haven't played in a while T20 cricket, but I don't think that can be an excuse. The guys are experienced enough to be able to adapt. I thought our bowlers and our fielding was pretty good, particularly in those first 2 games. They got us into a position where we felt confident in chasing I think they were both about 160, maybe a bit lower in the first game. But yeah, we just struggled with the bat. We couldn't really get starts, particularly in the power play. I think our power play in all 3 games with the bat probably was not good enough for our standards. I think myself, Kev, and Sterlo have a big responsibility there to get us off to good starts, and we just weren't able to do that. And there's no hiding from the fact that was probably a big difference in the game. 2019, Paul and Kev were out of this world with the way they went about it, and unfortunately, they weren't able to do that this week as well as myself. So, but we're fairly confident in what we're trying to do. Guys are fairly aware of what we need to do and the roles we need to play. Fortunately, we have 5 games against Zimbabwe where we can hopefully get a bit of momentum, but also maybe have a look at a couple of other players who didn't play in that South Africa series to see what they can offer us. Because at the end of the day, in T20 cricket at the moment, it's all about the World Cup and getting out of that group. So if we lose the next 5 games but qualify for the next phase of the World Cup, I'll be ecstatic. So that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to peak at the right time, and hopefully we can do that.
You foreshadowed the batting at the top of the order didn't go so well, but the consequence of that is the lower order actually got a good few overs in, and we saw Barry McCarthy, Josh Little come to the fore with the bat.
Yeah, and Craig Young as well in that last looked like someone who should have been at the top of the order. We actually joked that maybe we should reverse the order for one of the games because they were so effective and so consistent. But you know, they shouldn't be in that position, and we know that's our job. It's our job is to get the runs. Any runs the bowlers gets a bonus. There's a few career bests in and around there, so that was obviously nice to get a free drink from the lads. But yeah, it's great to see, and it brings a bit of life to the end of the game. But it's disappointing for us as batters because we know that we shouldn't put them out in that situation. But they enjoyed their cameos at the end, and that will give them confidence because there will be games where we need one of them to score 8 or 10 to win us a game, and the confidence that gives them doing that against a good South African attack will be critical down the line in this kind of the games where it's really nip and tuck. So yeah, there were certainly positives, but you know, they shouldn't really be scoring the runs, but it was nice to watch.
And finally, looking ahead to Zimbabwe, they had a bit of a tough time against Bangladesh at home, but the 2019 series against Zimbabwe was quite nip and tuck between the two sides. How do you foresee the series going?
I think we're really similar teams. They've obviously got a lot of experience in their batting. Taylor, Irvine, Williams, 3 guys who have been around the block, have played a lot of international cricket and scored a lot of international runs. So they're certainly a more experienced team than we are. But I think the confidence that we got from the South Africa one-day series, we get to play home again in front of fans, which is really exciting. And it's a big one-day series. All the one-day series are big, but particularly against the teams that are fairly on par with us. So any wins we can get will be critical. Yeah, I think we're just looking towards the first game. I think we can't really look too much further than that. There's a lot of kind of looking down the line of permutations and that sort of stuff, but we're kind of just worried about performance and putting in good performance. I think that second game against South Africa was probably our template of how we want to play international cricket over cricket. So if we can replicate those sort of performances on a more consistent basis, then I think we'll be in a pretty good place.
Very good. Well, thank you for joining me this morning.
Pleasure.